Hello everyone, it's March 17th, 2015. It's Tuesday. It's Harp Tuesday. And I know I've missed a couple weeks here, but I'm excited about this episode because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some slow motion videos and just talk about what I'm seeing there. So I think this is going to be interesting. I'm also going to start something that I'm going to call Slow Motion Monday, where on the weeks that I don't do a Harp Tuesday episode, I'm just going to post a very short, like maybe 10 to 15 minute clip where you'll see it in real time, see me playing something I'm working on, and or you know, things like scales or whatnot, and then do a very slow motion video of that same clip. So no talking, it'll be quite easy to do, and I think it'll be interesting to watch. So anyway, enjoy this episode. So I'm going to start by looking at scales. So there, that was at real time. And now here, this is at 1/6 of the speed, approximately. And I just thought it would be interesting to, now can we see my mouse cursor? Yes, we can. To just kind of look at this stuff. It's always kind of cool slowing things down in slow motion. And of course, one of the interesting things is, you know, to watch yourself in slow motion and see, are you doing the things that you talk about doing? And sometimes you are, and sometimes you aren't. And of course, sometimes it's just it's the thought. You know, you might talk about thinking about doing something a certain way, and maybe you're not actually doing it that way, but that idea, that thought in your head works to make whatever it is you're doing work. Anyway, I'm actually going to let's rewind here just a little bit, and talk about these scales, so that you can see, first of all, just this playing motion, right? That it's very much coming from these top joints rather than a curl. It's a push, right? I'm kind of pushing down and pulling in, and same coming down, right? Just those fingers closing. And you can see even at this speed, there's a fair amount of closing, especially with 2, 3, 4 doesn't seem to close all the way. But again, like practicing at a slow speed, you want to be thinking about closing, and it's a great thing to just kind of keep in mind. So kind of fun to watch that finger action. Watch this thumb. So the thumb, it's a fairly small motion, right? As it comes down. We're not having to do a big close or anything. Let's see. Coming up, we're in maybe a slightly different position. And again, just trying to be as efficient as possible, right? As we come up and down on these scales. Then let's take a look at my hand position. So you can see that there's a tiny bit of a turn at the wrist there as I finagle my way on that crossover. Are we finished? Okay, let's rewind that again. Right, I start pretty slow, so we can see these starting really slowly. So you can see, while there's a little bit of movement of the hand and the wrist, everything keeps fairly efficient, right? It's just the fingers. The hand isn't, in other words, having to twist back and forth. You can't see it here, but one of the things you would notice is my elbow is definitely getting a lot higher as I come up the strings. So just kind of fun to see that, just to see those fingers, how they're working. And so you can see as soon as I play that thumb, I'm zooming up, right? that I'm getting in position. The whole hand is moving up to get ready for the next bit. Now, one of the things I noticed when I watched this earlier is, and let's pause for a second. A common thing that somebody learning the harp may do is that idea of, okay, we're going to place 4 fingers, but we're going to start by placing 1, 2, and then as we start to go down, we'll find the 3rd finger, and then we'll find the 4th finger, right? So one of the things that you often get told when you're starting is try and make sure you're placing all the fingers in advance. And it's just more efficient. So it's interesting to watch. As I come down, I definitely place all of these 3 fingers as a unit, right? Boom, they're snapping on. Boom, a unit. But coming up, my thumb actually has a tiny bit of delay. So I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking I want to place 3, 2, and 1 at the same time. But it looks like in the end, 3 and 2 come on as a unit, but that thumb does lag a little bit behind. So again, I certainly, if I'm practicing slow, if I'm just first learning scales, I wouldn't be trying to delay the thumb. I would be thinking about that idea of trying to get 3, 2, and 1 on the strings at the same time. But it's just interesting to note that when I do it, oops, sorry for that, my keyboard falling over. When I do that, I do end up delaying that thumb a tiny bit. Anyway, enough scales, so we'll back up just a moment. So this next clip is just the tail end of Grandjany's Rhapsody, which is a piece that I'm working on right at the moment, and you'll hopefully get a chance to hear me perform later at some point in the future. So just a little, as I say, a little clip of something I'm working on I thought would be fun to take a look at. So what can we see here? That left hand is already in position way before the right hand finishes, right on that big arpeggio up, trying to get hands in position as quickly as possible. So, for example, here, the left hand's going to get up there, just in time, it looks like, right hand. Just in time. You can see the force of the strings, right? I'm really gripping and pulling those strings. And again, that motion is just almost a push down, right, rather than a pluck. Here we go, left hand's getting set. We got another scale. In this case, these are trading hands. You can see all that force on the strings. This one's still vibrating away. Again, that nice closing motion. Up we go. Again, these scales, and this is maybe not the best camera angle. Again, wow, look at that. All of the strings getting pulled back quite a bit. Here we go up again. Shoulder's quite relaxed, even though my left hand's high. We can't really see that. And then I find this big chord, and I'm finding all those notes is 1. I'm not going from the bottom to the top. I'm just going from the middle. And left hand's kind of sneaking in there a little bit to avoid buzzing. Boom. There we go. Cool. And the final little clip is I have several students working on, here we are. Boom, there, okay, boom. One last chord. I have several students working on Anne Vanschothorst's A Bird Came Flying, which is a wonderful piece. You should get that music book. It's great, 5 original solos for harp. And there's a little spot, this little spot. And so it's this right hand. This little kind of shimmer effect that's really quite hard. So we can kind of ignore the left hand here. What I want to focus in is on the right hand. And so here's an example where when we're starting, and especially when we're practicing slowly and many things, we want to think about closing the fingers all the way. But there are some cases when we're trying to be fast and very efficient and relaxed, of course. And we don't end up closing. But you can see I still am thinking of the motion coming from here, that it's not a close, it's not a claw-like action. It's more that push down, right? You'll also notice that if possible, I would love my pinky to be a little bit more relaxed. You certainly don't want it tight, like the pinky shouldn't be closed into the palm, which sometimes happens because that causes a lot of tension in the hand. But you can see it is getting held out there a little bit, but that's, I think, partly just how the hand works, right? But it is something one could try to, if possible, relax it a little bit more. And yeah, so you can see that 4 closes a little bit with 3 and then opens up. This thumb, again, is not doing a big closing motion. It's just doing enough to play. And again, I'm kind of thinking of pushing down on the strings, right? Oh, it's almost like playing the piano. The fingers are little hammers just pushing on the strings. And I think I ended up playing a wrong note here in the left hand, but that's okay. Anyway, just this little thing, trying to make it as efficient as possible. Now, I don't do a lot of oscillation. My wrist isn't moving back and sideways that much, but there's a little bit of movement here, right? It's not like I'm stuck in place. I'm relaxed enough to move, but I'm not doing a lot of movement with the wrist. In other words, I'm trying to make it as efficient as possible. So it's just, and this is where, great, practice it slowly, where you have a big close with a thumb, big close with all the fingers. And then as it goes faster, you try to have get the essence of that. In other words, we're not doing a full close, but we want to have the feel of a full close, that we are using that large muscles of the finger to just push that finger down towards the palm, even though we're not going all the way towards, we won't arrive at the palm, and trying to make that. And you can see, there's a little bit of movement. Watch this knuckle, right? It varies in place a little bit, or this knuckle, it travels around a little bit, but not a lot. The hand stays pretty static, and it's just that closing motion of the fingers. So there you have it. As I say, I'm really excited about this idea of Slow Motion Monday, which will just be an opportunity to just do a nice little short clip. So hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Cheers.